This is News 5 Tonight with Jerry Springer, Norma Rashid, Pat Berry's weather, and Ken Brew with sports. Now, Cincinnati's News 5 Tonight.
Good evening. Cincinnati has lost one of its brightest stars tonight.
Ruth Lyons died late this afternoon at the age of 81. A pioneer in local TV, Ruth's 50/50 Club became as much a part of the day as the morning paper. You just couldn't get along without it. Tonight, Ruth is being remembered for her numerous broadcasting achievements and for her special love of children.
Do you have a American flag? Do you have an American... Oh, dear, this is the... See what I'm... Your daddy does, but you don't? Well, you're going to have one right now. Peter, girls, give each one the new flag with the 50 stars.
That was Ruth Lyons at her very best, making us laugh, making us proud, making us feel right at home. As Cincinnati's First Lady of Broadcasting, she spent 20 years on radio and nurtured local television through its infancy. Small wonder why Ruth became known as mother to her legion of fans.
As time of fun begins, so throw away your every dog and care.
Ruth started the 50/50 Club here on Channel 5 in 1949, and it became one of the great success stories of television. Who else besides Ruth and her sidekick Willie Thal wrote jingles for their sponsors while on the air?
You'll agree.
Who will agree? Let's try it.
Well, whoever you're singing it to.
And salty, you'll agree. Sure good tempty pretzels. Sure good tempty pretzels.
Bound to suit you to a T.
Come on, everybody sing it now. A
That kind of informal atmosphere made Ruth tremendously popular and attracted the biggest names in show business to her lunchtime program.
Let us entertain you. Let me make you smile.
The smiles came easy for performers and viewers alike, and this remarkable lady made it her business to spread those smiles around. In 1939, after noticing that hospitalized children in Cincinnati did not have very many toys, Ruth started the Children's Christmas Fund. $12 million later, it is still going strong, serving 120 hospitals in 3 states.
Our numbers this year will be the highest we have ever recorded, and this has now permitted us to add the Ruth Lyons Children's Cancer Program.
That new research program began this past Friday at the University of Cincinnati, some 22 years after cancer robbed Ruth of her only child, Candy. Her daughter's untimely death led to Ruth's retirement in 1967. Walter Bartlett read her farewell letter to tearful fans.
And I hope that you will never forget, as it says in the second book of Timothy, I have fought a good fight, I have run my course, I have kept the faith.
Composer, talk show hostess, humanitarian, mother, lunchtime friend. Ruth Lyons had a very easy and genuine way about her.
And I think an evening spent with you would be just about as delightful as anything I can think of, frankly.
Except
I mean when you, no, I mean on the stage. I don't mean anything personal by that, Bob. I mean...
All I know is what I hear.
Sometimes I wish I'd keep my mouth shut, you know, but this'll never happen. This'll never happen.
You better not. You got an hour and a half here.
She spent the final years of her life in declining health, but she leaves a legacy of love and caring that is reflected each day in the faces of these children. Children who never knew her, but who are still touched by her.
At this point, funeral arrangements for Ruth Lyons haven't been finalized.
Tonight, many of us are remembering Ruth in our own way, maybe watching her on the 50/50 Club or just growing up with the knowledge of her good works in the Children's Fund. Well, tonight, Michael Collins talked to the people she worked with and people who remember how she made them laugh.
The 50/50 Club, starring Ruth Lyons.
It's fun to get together, fun to get together, fun to get together every day at 12 o'clock.
She hadn't been in front of a television camera for 21 years, yet the feelings for her are as great as ever. As far as television, everything Ruth Lyons did was a first.
I started in 49, and that was the beginning, you see, the beginning of color, all the excitement. They didn't have all of the rules that you can't do this, you can't do that.
Marion Spellman last saw Ruth 4 months ago.
I guess she was reflecting back on all of her years on television, and she started to cry. And both Ruby and I felt so sorry about that. So I was trying to think of something to stop the crying because I didn't want her to feel sad, you know. And her hair looked really nice, and I patted her hair, and I said, "Oh, Ruth, your hair looks so lovely." I said, "As a matter of fact, you look pretty sexy." And she laughed. And we were so thrilled about that she responded to that.
Even if you never met Ruth Lyons, if you watched her, you knew her personally. Ironically, tonight at the Drawbridge Inn, there was a reunion of the 50-50 Club, and Ruth's personal friends were everywhere.
You really felt like she cared about people. Well, you just felt like you had to watch her all the time.
I really am proud of her, and I'm proud to be from Cincinnati.
The place at 9th and Elm in downtown Cincinnati remains today the house that Ruth built.
Some of those who knew her best were here tonight, including her hand-picked successor.
When one of our children was born, he was born with congenital glaucoma. And it was touch and go as to whether or not he would see. And it was shortly after I had come to work for her on her television program. And she called me into her office and she said, "Somewhere in the world is a surgeon who could cure that boy. And I know you're a young kid. I can afford it if you can't." Find a friend like that today. Part of Cincinnati died today. A big part of it.
She was an absolutely remarkable woman, touched a lot of people's lives.
20 years later, it's as if she was still on the air. Please join us for a fond look back at Ruth Lyons' tremendous career. Ruth Lyons' Portrait of a Legend will air from 7:30 to 8 o'clock Wednesday night right here on Channel 5. Ruth, of course, we will miss you. Tonight we remember a very special person, a person who continues to touch the lives of almost everyone who lives in our area.
You know, it's been almost 20 years since she retired from her daily show, yet her overwhelming personality was and is an inspiration to us.
She was a pioneer broadcaster, television talk show host before the term was even coined.
She was a network star, both nationally and on our own regional network here in the Midwest.
We're speaking, of course, of Ruth Lyons. Ruth passed away Monday afternoon, but she left us all an important legacy.
The Ruth Lyons Children's Christmas Fund has eased the fears and brought happiness to countless youngsters for 50 years.
It's this legacy that will keep Ruth alive in our hearts for years to come. Tonight, in tribute to Ruth, we repeat a program we first aired in 1986. As a time to remember, this is Ruth Lyons, Portrait of a Legend.
With a personal commentary on the life and times of Ruth Lyons, here's News 5's managing editor, Jerry Springer.
The child in all of us cries a bit tonight because a woman who never forgot a child and helped the rest of us remember has just passed without paying to a final reward. And she hasn't earned one, no one has. I never met her, but I knew her. I never saw her, but she was everywhere. She was everywhere I saw a child who was down and out. And if not in pain, certainly bewilderment. Why am I in this hospital? Will I be okay? When will I get out? And she wasn't a doctor or a scientist, but for tens of thousands of kids for a half-century now, she was the best of medicine. A toy, a smile. Hey, hang in there, kids. Somebody loves you. Things will work out. Ruth Lyons and a Children's Christmas Fund has become perhaps our community's most lasting and visible testament to the notion that we think about more than ourselves, that we care about others, particularly God's greatest gift, the children. We well know now what she's meant to the kids, but maybe her greatest gift was what she taught us grown-ups, from the homespun simplicity of a noontime television set, that life is best and most meaningful when we take care of each other. Let's be clear here, Ruth was a television personality. And today, in an age where so much of what we see on the tube is graphic passion, her magic, certainly more lasting, was compassion. She's been off the air now for some 20 years, and yet her works and her commitment have kept her a household name. In her final years in failing health, she couldn't take in much television. She probably couldn't get the full measure of how much she still matters to us. Well, tonight, in God's hands, maybe she can see us, and maybe now she truly knows. Thanks, Ruth, for making us all better.